Pesyaʔ, Pesyaʔ, Lemlmts with squihui, lucha, yeah, Camilch, with Canu Wewelston till Squad Sheen, Lemlmts Squad Sheen with Squui, with Can Pudla. Just hello, everyone. I just want to tell everybody, Lemlmts, thank you for getting on and joining us. Want to say thank you and Lemlmt to Tachini Squad Sheen for doing this. We're gonna do this for 4 nights or 4 evenings every Wednesday in February. Tachini's gonna come on and um, maybe spark some interest and maybe bring some other people on later as well and do this a similar thing, but also hopefully continue to bring Tachini on and just have different people and share something language with us. So Lemlmts Pesyaʔ, I'm gonna hand over to Tachini. Lemlmts.
Sé lemnams Cheney. Chin Tachini Chin lemple chud lesiat lo lost code lo pts hui hui pti up lo chud x mi me am lo can nu wewstin lo chud lo cas all kste wech lo cas code lo chud can nu wewstin lo tel she cas kutin to widshi so yet chwad x pix me am so so chwep it can nu wewstin it's case so chwep so tel she nem nem cheslo lo cast to meet me as lo chud she lo chud cast to med ke ipachot lo chud she chin lamp to lo chud Pesyaʔ. So this is going to be about understanding Salish root words. What's the structure? How do we get the meaning out of there, and what's their function? It's basically what I'm going to be talking about. And who am I? I'm Tachini. I've been studying the language for the past 30 some years. Um, and I know a little bit about the language. Hopefully, what I share is helpful for you and will benefit you in your learning and your teaching. So, root words are important, and the reason why they're so important is because they are the the core of the language, um, and they build meaning from that core, from that foundation. The the meaning comes through the root words first, and then any additional thing that is in there is the vowel is another place where there's meaning, and then the affixes that go under the prefixes and suffixes also provide meaning. And knowing the root words, what they actually mean and how they work, is going to help you unlock a deeper understanding of the words that they make. And so that's kind of the basis of why I'm presenting root words and to share with you what I've learned about root words. And so as I'm going through this presentation, if you have any questions at any time, please ask it because I don't think of everything. I'm trying to put things packaged up, which is really hard for me to do because the knowledge I have is so broad and I want to bring in everything all the time. But please ask me questions as I'm going through. It's going to help me to think of things that I didn't maybe not have thought of. So that's kind of the way I work best is when I have an interaction. So what I'm going to cover today is root word structure. How are root words structured? Root word meaning. How is that meaning portrayed? And then the role of the vowels in the language and how they all each have a meaning of their own as well. So what are root words? So they're basically the foundation of all words, of all sentences. They're going to provide that core base meaning to a word. Root words follow a structure of consonant, vowel, consonant. All root words are made up this way. There's no exceptions. And then the primary meaning of the root word itself is contained within the consonants of that root word, which I have started to call the root shell or the consonant shell or the root word shell, however you want to call it. And then affixes are added to that root word to modify that meaning, to create different words based off of that core meaning or primary meaning of the root shell. Additionally, the vowel is going to play a role. It serves a role of temporality is what it's called, and that refers to how the word interacts with time. So, so at the basic core of a root word, it's just the consonant, those two consonants, and then a vowel can be in there or it can be in the suffix. So again, a root word is structure is a consonant, vowel, consonant, which is CVC is what I abbreviate it as. And in order for a word to be a full word, meaning that it has a subject in there, so that it becomes a complete word, it requires a vowel in there, either in the root word itself or in the suffix. So it can be in one or the other. It can't be in both. So the root word is formed. A full root word is formed when it has a vowel, and that has it conveys a meaning to it. So an example of a root word is ak, which simply means it is hot. Kod, kod, another root word, and it's probably the most familiar one is work or make or do. Hued, hued, hued means to abandon or separate from something. Tish, tish means it's sweet. Kwai, kwai, black. So these are all examples of root words with that full root word structure, which is consonant, vowel, consonant. So each one of these has a meaning, and literally, ak means it is hot, or it has a hot sensation. Work, kud, it means that um, I have the potential to create. Is what the kud means. Hued means I am being the abandonment. It is the act of the abandonment, not me, but whoever it is. Tish, it has come to be sweet or recognized as sweet, is really what the word says. Kwai is it is black. So each one of these words has the force of a word. It's a complete word, a complete sentence in itself. And that's how all the words in Salish operate, is they're at the third person level when they don't have a marker that says I, it's me or you or they, I mean not they, but us and you all. So tak again means it is hot, as it has the third person inherently in it.
I
So
had
some
a
more examples.
question, Tachini,
Yeah,
for me. So with the red, I noticed that you changed, well, there's like the little symbol above. Is it
yeah,
similar to the dot below the X? Is that the same?
it's the exact same thing. Yep, has no
Okay.
different sound. Yeah, it's just a different representation.
Okay.
And the reason why I changed it is after looking at the language for the last 30 years, and in Microsoft Word, you know, the spell checker has that little red line underneath. That became such a distraction for me, and I could not see that dot under the X, and so I finally said, why am I doing this? Just change it. So that's what I did, and it kind of goes along with the Okanagan and other languages using. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So again, the full root word is going to have a vowel in it. It has to have a vowel in it to be a full root word, to be complete. And so another example is had. Had means it's clear, or it has an open state. It's visible, the space inside is visible. It's lit up, and it's unobstructed. So that's what had means. It means you can see all the way through to the other side of a space. So in order to see through something, you have to have light. So that's how light is a part of had. It's clear, but it's also light. It's visible, it's unobstructed, and it's open. So we add suffixes to this, and we get a different word. So had means it's clear inside. The inside is clear. This could refer to liquid, water. This could refer to like a box that has nothing inside that you can see through it. So the prefix on here is providing a location. The had is providing the information about what it is. It's clear, it's open, visible, unobstructed. And we continue on with adding more meaning to a word, creating a different word in had. Now this is referring directly to liquid. So it's a clear liquid. Could be water, could be vodka, could be any kind of clear liquid. So one thing here that you can recognize is that a root word is covers a broad range of things that it does in English as our translation. As we think of things in English, we have to translate those things. So had is really a broad, has a broad meaning to it, and it can apply to a bunch of different things that in English are separate things. That makes sense. So we get another one here in Hadzen. Now this is a clear voice or a clear sound. So this is a metaphorical extension of the root word had, which means clear, which means unobstructed. So this one is extending that condition to a voice, because really a voice you can't see. So all voices would be clear, I guess. But in this sense, it's a comparison, maybe a voice that is obstructed or limited or whatever. So in Hadzen, this clear voice, or a clear message too. Hadshin. Now this is adding the shin suffix, which is referring to a rock or a stone. So the clear rock, a crystal. And then chadhad, which is the day. So the literal word for chadhad, it literally means that remaining extendedly clear. which we translate to as day. Because the daytime is lit, you can see everything around through the space of through all the space. You can see everything around, so it's clear, it's open, it's visible, it's lit, it's unobstructed. So that's how we get day. So the root shell, something that I coined myself. I don't know if anybody else has come up with a word for it or even has identified this as being something in the language. But the root shell is the consonant structure of the root word that carries the core meaning, the concept of the word. So the shell is comprised of two consonants. And again, all root words are consonant, vowel, consonant. So I know there's a lot of root words out there that appear to have vowels in them as part of the root, the shell part, but they're most likely a pharyngeal. So the root shell is comprised of the two consonants, and a root shell doesn't carry the force of a word until a vowel is added to it, either in the root itself or in a suffix. And again, a word with suffixes cannot have a vowel in the root and in the suffix. It's just one of the rules of Salish. It's not allowed. So going with the other example, the chad. So the root shell of chad is chud. And chud means, it signifies a condition or an act in relation to a void, an empty space, a gap, a chasm, or an unobstructed view. That's what chud conveys to all its words that are made from it. So chad is a combination of chud and the vowel a. And chad means it's clear or it's unobstructed space. And so chud cannot be a word by itself because it doesn't have a vowel with it. So you have to add, again, the vowel is going to be in the root or it's going to be in the suffix. And in this case here, I'm going to add eep, which is a suffix that means it results in a start or something like that. And we get chadlip. It lit up. It became light. It became daytime. It became clear. Chadlip. Chadlip. Does that make sense? I can only see your face, Naomi. All right, moving on. So some more examples of some root shells. Means to arrive at. And we get words like which means to catch up to. So it's basically you're arriving at the back of the back. And then means a separation. It's indicating some kind of separation. It's the root shell. And from we can get the word hukum, which means to divide something. So it still contains the essence of the root shell. It adds the suffix to it, and it means that you're dividing something, where the first one just is talking about the act of separation, the root shell. So another root shell is yid. You might see this written with an IL instead of a YL. That's an example of how we have written our language in a way that made sense before we had the knowledge of how these things were structured. But the Y sound also sounds like an I, especially when it's next to null. Id means to be involved with, or it's an immersive act. And one word from Id is Lemlmts, and Lemlmts is the leader, the chief. But the literal meaning is to be put into service. Lemlmts. Any questions? Oh, wow, it's already been half an hour.
Jimmy,
Yeah,
Lemlmts. I thought it was with the I.
yeah, that's what I was just saying. The the Y and the I have often been confused.
So that's okay?
Still, it says still the same word. It sounds the same.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no change other than the Y. Lemlmts.
How did you come across that with the difference between the I and the Y?
It came about. So once I recognized that Salish root words are a consonant, vowel consonant, then some words didn't fit, and I couldn't figure out why. So it took a long time. And I think it was from probably just seeing somebody spell it with a Y. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now and then it just opened up a big old thing of all these other ones that were spelled with Y's and how we had spelled them with an I.
Tachini, so does that mean like if it since it's always CVC pattern, that if it is the it's like a it sounds like the vowel in the front, it's more likely it's gonna be this Y.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the words that are gonna the words that the consonants that sound like vowels are the Y, the W, and then we have four pharyngals in Salish that we haven't written before, or we did a long time ago. It must have been before I was learning, anyways. But those four pharyngals, they all sound like vowels. Okay, moving on here. So the root word meaning. So the root word is going to provide the core meaning or the concept of the word, which is going to be expanded with a vowel or with an affix, a suffix, or a prefix. And then the words themselves are with the primary vowel are complete thoughts. They're a full force word in and of themselves. So here's another example. The chud again is by itself cannot be a word by itself. I mean, it doesn't have the full force of a word, but it does have the meaning that signifies a condition or an act that's in relation to a void, an empty space, a gap, or a chasm, or an unobstructed view. So how does that play out in words? I showed you one example, the chadlip. It became light, lit up, daytime, clear. But then it can be in other words that wouldn't necessarily seem like it would have anything to do with lighting up, which is what I first initially thought chud means to light up. And so I was finding the root shell in other words that didn't seem to have anything to do with light. And so that's kind of how I figured out what these root shells mean, is by looking at all the words together that contain the root shell of the root word, and then figuring out a meaning from that. So chadlep is the floor, and the reason why it's the floor is because in a space, in a room, there's a space there. You have the walls, and in between is the space, which is the gap or the void or the empty space. And so ed means to serve as the function of the base. So khadled is the floor, which is filling up that gap with what it is, the floor. That makes sense? So another word is khadled. Now this one here was really confusing for me when I first was trying to figure out what does this word actually mean. And it comes from khad, which I thought always at the time I thought meant light up. But khad again is related to a gap or a space. And in our mouth we have a gap there, and that's what our teeth do. They fill that space. Khadled. The means to be it embodies the form of the gap. That's what the teeth are. Khadled. Sin khadleus is a bridge, and again it's spanning a gap. In between is where the bridge is at, which is eus, which is in between the two ends. The khad refers to that gap. It's it's a condition or an act that's related to that gap. And the sin is the place. Sin khadleus. So we get bridge. Now this one here is chadlem. Chadlem is a word that means to like lie in wait, to ambush somebody. So if you think of your actions, you're going somewhere, on your way somewhere. Think of your road or your path ahead of you as a gap, as an empty space that hasn't been filled yet. You haven't crossed that space. So when somebody's lying in wait to ambush you, they're essentially filling in that gap of your path, and they're waiting for you. They're going to ambush you. And so that's what we get, chadlem. So all these words have to do with a gap, a void, an empty space. And so we get all these words here from khad. And the one before was, where is it at? Oh, I think it's coming up next. Oh, wait. One more word here is chadlpakan. And this means your head cleared, meaning it was like foggy, or maybe you're knocked out or whatever or something, and you come to your senses. Chadlpakan, your head cleared up. I don't think this means you have a void in your head though.
Tachini,
Yeah.
what happens if you add can you add different vowels, or have you found root shells with different vowels that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm going to show that. That's coming up at the end here. So the next word here is me. Now, this one here is, you'd probably see this written as mi. So this is a root shell here. It means to perceive or experience, or to take in the reality of something, or to signify the condition of the real, as something that could be imposing, obvious, unmistakable, eye-catching, something that leaves an impression of your experience. In other words, you're learning, you're experiencing, you're perceiving, and that's what me is based off of, or that's what it means. So we word miip, and you probably see this one spelled M-I-I-P. Miip means that I found out or I learned. Like mipanun. Miech. So miech means to know the house or the building or the structure. So in essence, what miech is saying is that there's been an experience of this house. She or he has experienced this house. They know it. They've already perceived it. They've taken it in a real situation. They know the house. They know the building. They know what it looks like. They know how to navigate it, whatever. Esmi sten. Again, you probably say this with an I in there. Esmi sten. I know it. I've experienced that thing, so I know it. I've perceived it already. I know it. I've taken it in as a real thing. I've observed it. I know it.
Tachini, do you also sometimes hear it's referred to as like a truth or a fact?
Yeah. Reality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The real. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Here. Okay. So another word is inmitzin, and this means to interpret, but it also means to know the language or know words, to know the voice, to know the sound. So what it means is that you've already perceived it or experienced that noise or that sound, is what it's saying. Inmitzin. So next example here is in mi pensut. This is your telling on yourself. Mi pensut. And the last one here, which is one that you probably wouldn't relate to me, is skutisamia. Skutisamia. It's the full word, which is mountain lion. And the kutis on the beginning is a prefix, and it means to be big. Samiyeo is the word. Samiyeo means like kind of like the imposing one, the unmistakable of the group. That's kind of what it means. All right. All right, Aaron, we're getting to the vowels here now. So the vowels, the vowels, just let me tell you this a little bit here first. The vowels were something that I never even considered as to hold some kind of meaning at all. And it wasn't until it's just a few years ago I started to recognize that the I vowel especially happened to be in words, at least the translations tended to be things that resulted or went through some kind of process. And so I started to look at all the words I could find that have the vowel I in it, and just trying to take it in. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh, the I has a meaning to it, and so all the other vowels must too. And so I started to look at all of them. And so through that process, I was able to kind of figure out what each vowel means and how they work. So the vowel is going to contain the fundamental expression of temporality, which is the relation with time. And so we have 4 vowels in Salish. I know there's another one there, but I'll talk about why that one is. But so we have the A. The A vowel represents something that's enduring, a state of endurance, and also a specialization or a significance. A lot of animals have vowels in them. Have the vowel A in it. The E vowel is the embodiment of the act itself or the state itself. So it embodies that act, that state, whatever it's in. The vowel is either in the root again or the suffix. The I vowel is a result of the act. It's a process-oriented culmination of that act. The U vowel represents the capacity, a potential, inherency, and ableness. So I'm going to go through some examples here. So the first one here is yid, which I did above, which is immersive. You're in the thick of something, you're involved, and that's why we get Lemlmts, leader, because they have been put into service, which is kind of what the word says, put into service. Yad, yad is something that's rounded or encircled. It's a state, and it endures. So one example is a chiad, chia. I think most of us know what chia is. The whole word is chiadhukan, chiadhukan. And so this is something that yad means to conceal because it's encircled around the head. So chiadhukan comes from Catholicism or Christianity, where they had the belief that you can't show your hair, so you have to cover it. Same with Muslim today. Same kind of belief. I guess a long time ago they believed that women were not supposed to show their hair. So that's where the word chiadhukan, yadhu means to conceal. And then yed means to embody. Oh, I missed there. It means to embody the to be the surrounding. You're embodying the act of surrounding. So we get the word, the place name, Sin-Yedlamin, which is Saint Ignatius. That's the place used to surround. Yid. Now this has the I vowel in it, and this means like transfixed, or something that leads to some kind of involvement with. It's often used for wounding, because when you shoot somebody with an arrow, say, that arrow sticks into them and it's transfixed into them, meaning they're wounded. Yid means to be something is incorporated within or inside or on or something. Rubbed in means like, say, like lotion. You're rubbing it into your skin. It's being incorporated into your skin. A cocoon, like a caterpillar makes its cocoon. That's what the word is saying. Is it's wrapping himself with his silk, enveloped. The suffix means that there's some effort put into it. Yud is with the U vowel, and yud is means to be like bulky or girthy. So one word from that is yud, which is your middle finger, and you can yud can also be like inherently surrounded or encircled. So your middle finger on your hand, I don't want to put my middle finger up, but it's surrounded on your hand. The middle finger is surrounded. It's inherently surrounded. It's also the biggest finger. Siyut can also refer to your thumb because it's the biggest, thickest finger, I guess. Any questions?
So that's showing how it's the same root,
Hmm.
or what do you call it? I've already forgot the root caps,
Root shell.
root shell. But then you add these different vowels, and it slightly changes. I mean, it changes into, but there's still some relation.
Yeah, it still has the same. So this example here, yid means that you're involved, you're in the thick of something. But you can also think of that as if you're involved in, you're also surrounded by. If you're in the thick of something, things are around you. If you're immersed, you're surrounded by things. So yad kind of elevates that to like a state. It's a state. So yad means it is round. It is encircled. So yad by itself cannot be a word that can be used. It just holds that container of meaning in it. And so yed is going to be the embodiment of encircling or surrounding. So another example here, the me. So again, that's to experience or perceive something. Um, so basically, when you're gaining, when you know something, you've already experienced it, you've already perceived it. So again, interpret Squinmitsinum is someone that's tasked to interpret. May means to embody the expression of the experienced or the known. So from that we get teach or teacher, Squmitmayam, which is the asked to teach, and what they're doing is they're mayet. Mayet means to is to embody the known. So you're telling, you're teaching, you're explaining. And then there's an example in Salish that has the may, M-A-Y. There are no words that are made from that, but it is possible to be a word. It's just that there's nothing that would fall under that. So mui is another word that's derived from this one here. You're adding the u in there, and this means the capacity to know. So we get the word moich, moich. What you've probably seen, this one spelled with an O because the U often gets when it's with a word that has the X words, the Q, the letter X, Q, or the pharyngals, it makes the O kind of sound like the U sound like an O. So moich means to have a vision or to foretell. And then me is the result of experiencing something, the come to know. It's the me is it is reality, or it really is. So the next example here is the root shell, which means a separation. And then from that you get Nkwusm. Nkwusm means to separate something into two, to divide it in half. Huak means to grind or file. It's kind of like a specialized separation, because when you're grinding something, you're taking off the little pieces off of there, or you're filing, you're separating parts of it from it, is what you're doing. And means you have ground away at something or filed away at something. Or you can think of it in the sense of like grinding, like sketch, which is hamburger, which is all ground up because it's been all separated from itself. It's ground up. It's filed. Now huik means to result in a separation. Now this is the word that I was talking about, Cheney here. The ʷusm. ʷusm means to tickle. But what happens when you tickle somebody is they're trying to get away from you because they don't like the sensation of being tickled. And that's kind of what the word is saying is ʷusm is you're going all over the body, all over the thing, and they're moving away from you. That's kind of what tickle means. ʷusm. Now that's only one word. There's other words for tickle as well. And they all describe some act of it. So the last one on here is hok. Hok. And you probably see this spelled with an O. Hokwadks, which means to snore. So hok means it inherently separates. So if you think about the process of snoring inside your throat there, where the snoring happens is because those tissues in there, they're separating and they're making that snore sound. Hok means it inherently separates. So hokwadks is to snore.
Jeannie,
Yeah.
when you're going over those, can you just kind of mention what the suffix and prefix are too?
Yeah.
Just to help us out a little.
Sure.
How much?
Supposed to know all those. So I'll go the first one here. ʷusm. So the ch is a prefix, and ch means to be at, upon, or for the purpose of. And the suffix on there is et. So the et means to be all over it, all around it. The suffix et, which you might have seen in some other words, which is a vowel, and it's probably the only exception for vowels. Because it's a suffix itself, et is a suffix. And et means that it expresses outwardly. It embodies the outward expression. And then hukadks. So the idks, so every letter in the suffixes, all the suffixes are like this, they're all the same. Each letter has its own meaning to it. So in hukadks, id means to function. It's like a plural transitive. It functions at, or to, or with. And then ks is often associated with the nose, but it really means the k in there means that it's something that is for, meaning it's out of, or for or up. So that's why it's in kin as well, but it means to be ahead. So the reason why it's used for the nose is because your nose is fore of your face, and the s means it is the s in here is the same s that you find in the causative transitive, and the s means that it's designed for, or has the intention of, does by design. So that's, your nose is by design out fore of your face. That's why ks is used. For the in was the inside. Ewus means between two things. I think that's all of them on there. Any other questions? I'm at the end, so. So the core, or the things that I want you to take away from here is that the root shell provides the core meaning to all words. And in order for a word to be full functioning, it has to have a vowel in either the root word or the suffix. One or the other, can't be both. And then vowels are going to shift the meaning and the perspective of the word And it can do the same in the suffix as well. But I'm going to save the suffixes. That's I believe that's next week's lesson. It's going to be on the suffixes.
I have a question.
Sure.
I was wondering about the words that we're used to having two vowels in them. Like earlier, you guys were talking about mayest, or words like that ayet pretending to be. How would we go about spelling those with only one vowel?
The ayat, like this one right here. That's humi mayem.
Or like something like ayet, like a skunk, or things when you're pretending to be something like a.
Oh,
Like
okay.
we say some kanayat for computer because it's like pretending to be a brain.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Let me see, how can I explain this without getting too deep? Let me stop sharing this one here. And bring up this. Okay. So the word is stay a skunk. So so it's like pretends to be good. So this is gest and ayet. So these are also separate suffixes themselves. I can do this one here too. So the pretending comes from this right here, which is a, which means so it has the e vowel in there, and the e vowel means to embody something. So when the vowel is in the suffix, it is it's working directly with the immediate suffix that it's attached to, which is the one directly after it. So in this case, a is the primary focus of this word, stay at a. So the y suffix by itself, without a vowel to it, means transforming or continuing, and that's why it's at the end of words, like chesihni. It's a y at the end. But I'll go over more of that. So ey means to embody changing, which is when you're pretending, you're embodying a change, transformation is what you're doing. That to embody that change or transformation, and the et part of it means that you're expressing it outward in an outward way. So ayet means to pretend, but the reason why it's that is because you are embodying a change outwardly expressed. Does that make sense?
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah, it's a lot. No, it is. So just think of the vowel is going to play the same role in the suffix as it does in the root word. So that it embodies, it's an embodiment, meaning that you are taking on you are actually being the act of whatever it is that it's portraying.
So can you explain again then what the rule is with vowels? You're saying it every word should only have one vowel.
Every word should only have one vowel, yeah. The
So
only exception is this suffix here. which I don't think is a real vowel. I just haven't figured out what it actually is.
Okay.
And the reason why is because this one here also changes with the vowels too. So you can also have and you can also have eat and oot, and they all correspond to the vowel, how the vowels work in the suffix and the root word. And this is the only place where there is another vowel.
So they're almost in a way connected,
Yeah, they're those four are connected somehow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tachini, it's Steve here. Hey, I have a question. Do you consider the schwa a vowel for those who do use that? And can you explain that, please? Thank you.
The schwa I have not identified as having like any meaning to it, but it is present in words, and yeah, that's about all I can say about it.
Just to further into it, that's why I'm asking is because in 16 they really stress and use that. I know that's a different dialect or anything, but I was just wondering, to kind of if you had like correlated that into where we come from,
Mm-hmm.
or is this something? Because you're trying not to go too deep, so I don't want to ask too many questions there. That
Oh, go ahead.
that we're still trying to like discovering as we're here, like where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, dude, you're way too deep for me already, because I just follow behind and you guys figure it out and I'll learn what I can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that. But I was just wondering, like, are you still discovering, are we all still discovering these things as we go? And this is where we're at. Like, I mean, can you explain that a little bit? I don't if I even make sense there. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm all these things I'm just discovering as I go along in my own learning, and it's kind of intentional. I'm trying to figure out to the smallest level, how does our language work, and then from that, how can I use that information to help people learn more efficiently, and deeper as well. And especially for people that are teaching, the more that you can acquire as far as knowledge and how the language works, that's gonna flow into your teaching because you'll have a better idea of what it is you are presenting to your learners.
One more thing. It's probably true. Like I trying to frame this thought here. I had it and I just lost it. But something along the lines of, do you think that we probably overthink some of these things? Like with this question right away when I logged on was just a few minutes ago was the I and Y. I think Naomi was asking about that, right? Do you think we overthink those things and the like MOY, like UYOY type things, or do you think that because I'm just curious of how that comes to be. Like when we hear what we think we're hearing and we write it down, going, maybe I'm the one that's overthinking these things. Are you following me? Am I making sense on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What has happened is we us that are learning and our elders too, before us, is we're just listening to we listen to the language and we write what we hear. If you wrote English in the same way, we do a lot of things to English that we don't even think about, and we cut words down. We you know, and if you were to try to spell English without a knowledge of a writing system, it'd be spelled all different kinds of ways. But yeah, I think we think a lot about our spelling, and it can be a help or it can be a hindrance as well. Depends on how you want to look at it.
Tachini, Tachini, are you working with other linguists right now? And like, how does that work with peer review? Is this part of your peer review? And um, how do you come to consensus on the way that you spell words within a group?
So for me, I work with a lot of people, and I have worked with a lot of people over the years. Um, for me, for the way that I spell, I'm using what's best for me, what's going to work for me, and how, because basically everything that my dictionary is basically my notes of my learning, and over time I've spelled things differently, and just learned about, the how are these words and how is information, presented, and then as I made things for other people to use, I try to be consistent in my spelling and the way I portray words, but it's basically comes down to what makes the most sense to me, and from what I've learned and what I've experienced and what I've seen. Does that make sense?
Lemlmts.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I have a question. I want to go back. Um, so when you say every word has only one vowel, so obviously you can think of like ʷusm or like words that have multiple vowels. Are those like compound words that are put together, like multiple words that we say together, or
Mhm.
every no.
Or I think of like spoos, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of examples.
Yeah.
ʷusm, I mean, it seems
There's
confusing.
spoos. The root word of spoos is poo, and poo means something that's recursive, means it goes back and forth, or back around and around and around to itself. And so that's basically what the heart is. It's pumping the blood around and around and around. And it's used in words like thinking, because when you think, you're mulling it over around and around and around and around. If you're thinking about somebody, that person is in your mind all the time, going through your mind over and over and over again, and that's why we use pus for pusaminum. You're thinking about him. That's really how it is. S is, and I'm not totally convinced on this yet, but I think this is what it really is. That makes sense, Erica? You're on mute.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then like, what about ʷusm?
Yeah. Wait, let me. Oops. Come on. I hate that automatic first letter capitalization. Wait, let me. No. That's the word there.
Can you break that word down?
Yeah. So place is the root. The is it's kind of like a transitive. East means it's a change that you initiate yourself. Lemlmts Pesyaʔ is like energy, or results in a activeness.
Okay, I'm gonna hog up all the time, but can I ask one more word that seems like it has multiple vowels?
Yeah.
Inyopiautin. Oh.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is the one here. There.
Mm.
This is a fun one here.
And pharyngeals are consonants.
Pharyngeals are consonants, yeah. So I'll write the 4 pharyngeals here. There's here. There's the regular pharyngeal, and this one's going to sound like an E or an A. And then there is the glottal pharyngeal. And this one's going to sound like an E with a glottal stop or an A with a glottal stop. And then there's the raised W pharyngeal. And this one's going to sound like an O or a W or a U or even a AW or an EW. Depends on the other letters in the word itself. And then there's the glottal raised pharyngeal. And this one's going to sound like an O with a glottal stop, or a W, glottal W, or a U with a glottal stop.
So Tachini, then are you spelling yaya or smama with that glottalized pharyngeal?
No, not yaya. I left the yaya alone. I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, what about smama?
Smama is smama is related to some M. Smama. Some M.
Is smama cut off, a cut off word?
Yeah. I don't know if it's cut off or not. It is cut off. It's cut off right there. It doesn't include the last pharyngeal. All those words are related. Smama, some M, met. They all have the same root word. Smama has the A in it. Some M is just the root shell in there, and then Mehmet is has the E in it.
What's the, do you know what the root meaning is? Or
Yeah, so this one here, meh means like to endeavor, to endure, um, because women are stronger.
Can you say that again? Eh?
the people in the back.
That's why your Samama is the strongest one, or the one that's going to be around the most. That's why it's Samama. The one that persists, I guess. And Mehmet is just an excess of persistence.
So like Kenneth, Sila, Tupia. Did you leave those guys alone too?
Yeah, because Silat is just with the with the with the suffix et, which is a those ones are allowed.
Are you back in here, Tachini?
Oh, I'm back. I'm back.
Good.
Sorry about that. My internet blinked out.
Yeah, you got that Seattle internet. It's finicky with snow.
All right, what were you asking now about the creation story? That was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, and I was shaking my computer because I thought it was me. So we did the creation story. We're doing a lot of coyote stories and the creation story in my classroom, and as we were reading it, coyote's like, oh, I want my name to be Simche or to be Pakatchen or Simche. But as I was reading it, I was like, oh, Simchechen and Simchechen. And I was wondering if maybe you knew anything about the roots in those words of Simchechen and Simchechen with the sim and the chin and what that indicates or what that, even if there's a relationship between the two. But I figured you might know something.
Okay. Let me turn my video off then. My screen is freezing. All right. So the word Simchechen. Simchechen. What was the other word?
Simchechen.
Oh, Simchech. Yeah, no, they're not related. So one is which is has something to do with let's see if I can remember. Something to do with the you know how grizzly bears have like a different color on their back, like it shimmers, like it changes as you look at it from a different way. That's what has something to do with that. And then Samchich, the root word is
Simchechen.
Samchich. So the root word in here is going to be why is it capitalized? I don't know off the top of my head what that root word is. But yeah, they're not related.
Okay. I was just curious because of the sum and the chun at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, so this one here has to do with its back.
Okay.
And this one here probably does too.
Hmm.
They probably both have something to do with the back.
Oh no, still no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's some questions here from Spidlqua.
Oh, okay.
I could read them to you.
Okay.
He asked, can you break down or elaborate on schilchalt? What are the parts and how do they function? And kind of part of that same one, if a person says in had how would a listener discern that they are talking about water, not vodka?
Of course, Josh would ask that. So schadchat is so it has it's broken down like this. This part of it is reduplication. Chad is the root word, and the T is a suffix meaning stative. So what it's saying here is chad. Chad means it's clear. It's clear, or it's open. It's visible. Or everything's visible. So the reduplication, the distributive reduplication is what it's called, is reduplicating chad. All reduplication happens on the root word itself. So that's something that you should know. So the distributive reduplication, it's called distributive, and I call it that anyways, because it's distributing something over space, meaning it's pluralizing it, or it's distributing something over time, which is like making something extendedly doing. To do something extendedly, not repeatedly, but extendedly, lengthily or extendedly. So what this word is saying is schadchat, which is the day. It's saying that the clearness is something that's extendedly over time, meaning it's referring to the day, which it stays clear for the whole day, meaning that everything's visible for that whole day. The T makes it stative, so saying it's remaining in that state, and the S kind of nominalizes it or makes it into like a noun. So that's where we get the word for day. And then if you are talking about something and you use the word chad, the way Salish works is by context. So it's highly contextual. Depends on what you're talking about. If you're just to say something, if you're just to throw this word out there in chad, it just means what it's saying. It's clear inside, and I wouldn't know what you're referencing if there was no other clues to what you were talking about. So it's in context is going to provide the information for the words as you're going about your thoughts. Shay. Oh, that's a good one. Shay is a root word itself. Let me get rid of all these. It's just stuff here. So sheet, which is in like S. Sheet, which is first. Shape. Oh, I know another. Shios. That one's kind of like forever in Shios. Shape means it embodies that which precedes, meaning I'm referencing all the information that I'm referencing. Shape that. She? She is then, and then. And it's probably not an E, it's probably the angel. It's not related to shape. Any other questions?
Yeah, Spitclaw also asked, could you break down or elaborate on Lemlmts? What are the parts and how do they function together? What is your most detailed translation of this word? And It
Okay,
is
so
Lemlmts a gendered word?
no, no, Lemlmts is not a gendered word. So Yid means to be involved with. So Yid is involved with, or in. So the way that Salish words, the way that you can understand a word is if you follow it from its root shell first, and then you go from there and just continue on. So, so Yidlam, So the suffix means that it's doing something to something, and the thing that it's doing it to is not a definite thing. It's just a general thing. So made to be involved with is kind of what that translates to. Made to be involved. It's not a full word because it doesn't have a vowel in it. So then, ihu means resulting in a form. So it results in a form. And by form, what I mean by form is the suffix means that it's looking at the outside of something, the outer dimension of something, and it doesn't have to be a physical thing. It can be an event, it can be an act, it can be, but it's like the outside surface of something. It doesn't have to be a physical surface. So ilamichum means that you made to be involved, resulting in this outer form, which references what a leader does, how they act or how they perform. That's what it's referring to. And then again, the which is the same as this here, is just doing the same thing as this, made to do something to. So here, idlam is made to be involved, and then you add idlamichu. So this is like the that being made to be involved. So it's referencing something that's involved. Oftentimes this can also indicate a being, an entity, a life force, but it still has that same essence as made to be such a way. That's the result of it, made to be such a way. And then this tells you what the act is, which is to be involved in. So the at the end means that, again, this here is made to be whatever the act is. So in this case, it's a leader. So it's made to be a leader. So idlamichum means that it's somebody that's been put into service. Made to be in service or something like that. That makes sense?
So yeah, it's kind of saying like they're made to be involved.
Into the thick of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go next week. I'm going to be going over some suffixes, and the ones that I'm going to be going over, the primary ones, is the suffix. Just to give you a little preview, the n, the s, the bardell, the benefactive sh, and then the ud. So all three of these, or all of these suffixes here are like, they're transitive suffixes. They're doing something to something else. These ones here are transitive with the stative. This one here is the causative, which means to there's intentionality involved in the transitive act. This one here is what some linguists call the relational, but it means that you're doing in relation to that thing. The benefactive means you're doing something for something. And then the o is a transitive. It's kind of like the transitive form of the n. I mean, it's referencing multiple acts. It often is translated as the function of, or functioning for, functioning to, functioning at, because a function is multiple things. So it's a pluralizer. That's a little preview for the next lesson. So what I'm building to is to help you understand what transitives are doing is ultimately what my goal is here for these 4 classes, is to help you understand these, mainly these 5, well, I guess all of them. Everything. I want you to learn everything.
And what about the weak and strong?
Oh, weak and strong. Okay, yeah.
Are you going to touch on that next week, or you got time?
I got time right now, yeah. Let me go to another page. Oh. So the weak and the strong root words. Whoops. This is kind of it's not really a thing, is basically what it is. So you have words. The root shell word is something that we would say is a weak root, because the vowel is not in the root; it's in the suffix. So like what's a good word? I can't think of anything right now. And then a strong root is what we often is one that retains the vowel in the root word. Oh, here's one. Here's one example of a weak root. Quentes. So the reason why it's considered a weak root is because the the vowel is not in the root word itself. It's in the suffix. So there are two kinds of root shells. There's like ones that are like stative or conditions, and then there's other ones that are acts. Some of them can be a combination of both, but the ones that are conditions or like states, those are the ones that fall into the category of a weak root. So in order to know which ones are weak roots, you have to know really what the root shell is, what it says and what it's doing. So it's really hard to predict. It just seems random, like why are some words have this form on it and others don't, the strong form. And it all comes down to how that root shell is what does it signify? Does it signify a condition or does it signify an act? And those ones that are conditions are again going to fall under the weak category, and the ones that are acts are going to fall into the strong category. In order to identify them, you have to, again, like I said, you have to know what the root word is.
Is this root word hokont, or what is that?
Hok is to divide.
Oh, that's right, from your other
Yeah.
slide.
Yeah. And then I cleaned it. Does that answer your question, Cheney?
Yeah, but I mean, it's trying to figure out. It's just that when you're learning, like, why don't you put a U there? You know, who,
Oh yeah.
like, knowing when to put a vowel in the right place.
Yeah. And again, that all comes from the understanding what the root word is. Hook. Because there's also hui. And I don't know if there's huek or huak. Huik is when you're scraping a hide and you're taking everything off. You're basically like you're cleaning it. Let's see. I know another word. Tuk, tuk. So the tuk has the U in it, and so the U, it means inherency to it, intrinsic condition or something. So tuk means something that's put down, but it's not referencing the act of putting something down. It's referencing the fact that something is there, meaning of its own, it's there, it's placed. So it's not referencing the act of being placed down. It's referencing that the fact that it is down, that it is placed. Tuk. So in order for me to change that to an act that I'm doing, I have to remove that the you, because it doesn't it won't make sense, because now I'm doing the act. This one, tuk, means that's what it is. It's placed there by something that's not referenced. Tuk. So if I want to do the act, then I need to reference myself, and I'm the one that's going to become the focus. And this tuk would be considered like a weak root because the vowel doesn't stand there. Quinten. I put something down. I put it down. So I'm the one. I am the focus of this act because I have the vowel here. The vowel is on me, the subject, N. Where here the vowel is in the root, which the root word itself, the focus.
So if you don't really ever, you don't know of a pattern to understand, to learn that, is it just something you have to memorize every root?
Yeah, you don't have to memorize a root. Once you can get a basic understanding of how the vowels work within the root words and the suffixes, it's pretty easy to identify which ones would be considered weak and which ones are strong.
So what do you do with this information of knowing whether it's weak or strong?
So mainly this comes down to the transitive forms. Where's the vowel going to be at? So the weak root forms are going to have these longer transitive forms, whereas the strong root ones are going to have the more simpler transitive forms. And I just cannot think of a root word with a strong root.
Is there ever a time when you have the root has its vowel and there's that transitive thing at the same time, or is one or the other?
It's one or the other, yeah. So these ones here are subject focused transitives. And then if I can think of oh, here's one. Eaten. I ate it. The root is, which means to engulf something. So this one here is subject focused transitive, and this one here is the action focused transitive. If that makes sense.
What about atz? Atzchent. Atzchent.
Atchen, there you go. So at is the root. The ch is a suffix, and the n is the transitive. So
Considered a strong root?
at would be considered a strong root.
Is this like, can you have some stuff maybe next week or something to showcase this a little more for us?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
This seems like this is one of those things that catch me, like knowing when to, whether it's weak or strong, and when to how to place that transitive in there. And
one way that you can do it if you don't know the root word very well is if you see it written in other forms with suffixes, and the suffix has the vowel, then most likely the transitive form is going to be in the weak form as well.
cool.
So if Atzchen is a strong, does that mean all the transitive forms wouldn't have vowels in them?
Yes.
Okay, so like there wouldn't be a Atzchen test.
No, there would never. I guess there is a morphological vowel, because when the N and the S come together, the N changes to an I. I guess that would be another exception. But it's not really a vowel. It's not a true vowel. It's just a morphological change. Any more questions? That was a lot of information. What'd you guys think?
Just oh, I'll start. It was a lot of fun, and it's really cool to get the sparks flying, and it gives us some good things to think about and maybe bring up with our group, because like especially when it comes to those vowels, how in Spokane we have a lot of vowel changes. Uh, y'all would say it one way, and our vowel would be different when we say it. So it'd be interesting to kind of compare them and draw the similarities and stuff. And
Yeah.
then, but also what's on my mind is for next week, I'm excited to see the suffixes and like sometimes you call them transitivizers, because it just happened to come up in our lecture or our class from Salish yesterday that the T, it's like a mysterious T transitive or suffix that up until today, like we haven't really seen much, in our materials about it, besides just that we've heard our elders say like ʷusm, but we don't really know what that T is doing in there. So I would be curious if
I can tell
you've
you right
come
now.
across, yeah, STEM.
So the T is simply stative, like on gest. So which tin, I saw it. So just think of it like that. Which, I mean, it's a state.
Okay.
It's in a seen state, a found state. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah, but I would just I think we would just want to dive deeper into it with like
Oh yeah.
throwing it into a 36 box and seeing like what is saying what, like who's doing what to who, like so maybe we should save that for next week or some other time, but
Yeah.
that does help a lot though, because we have learned with other words about that T being the in a state of.
hmm
So yeah, that does help with the mystery.
Yeah. It's also when you're doing all the the two transitive forms, that tes and the stes. This is also the state of T as well.
Hmm.
It's the same. This is the same. This is the same. All these T's are all the same here, and they all mean the same thing.
Hmm.
The n is the transit divisor, the direct one. This is the causative one. And this is the subject, and that's the
Hmm.
state.
Wow.
So I have a question because when I first learned some of those, Soph would say Wiechensen, and
Oh
then
yeah.
I later learned Wiechdeminsen. So what are the difference in those two? Wiechensen, that's what she taught me.
What was the other one? Wiechtimen?
Wiechdeminsen.
Oh yeah. Wiechensen. So Wiechensen is just a more direct. I see you.
I saw you see. Okay.
Yeah, I saw you. So this is the transitive right here,
Yeah.
and this here is the object compound. So
What if it
Wiechensen.
was a what if it was TSN?
So what is the TM? Sorry, Stevie. What is the TM in the other one then?
So again, this is the Weeched, which is like this word here. Weeched. It means it's stativizing the scene, the scene.
Stativizing the scene.
And this here is the instrumental, min, meaning it's a use for something. So basically right here, you're saying uh, you are used to be seen, kind of like, it's a more, the instrument, the use of something is, um, it's a little bit confusing because when we say instrument, we think of something physical, but it also is a use for something, meaning you are the use of why I saw you, basically.
Can you give an example?
Um,
Like a scenario?
which dimension?
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
you. Um, so you are in the lookout for somebody, and then you do see them. You say dimension because you're in a state of looking at something, trying to find something. Meaning you're
Okay.
searching. You're kind of
Okay.
like searching for it.
versus coming upon someone and Wichinsen.
Wichinsen, yeah, just a direct I saw you. Or the other one was there's more of a something I was looking for kind of thing.
I hear the use part now.
Yeah, that's why people say Nemeth Wichtimensen,
Yeah.
because there's an intention to that. I'm going to see you again. There's a use to me to see you again. Or the other one is just a direct I saw you.
Not much.
Gonna.
I have a hard time explaining ches. I can use it in a few phrases, but taco ches mentui, taco ches quack. It's different than ches or, but to go over that a little bit would be cool.
Okay, so so these are all prefixes. So is a prefix, is a prefix, s is a prefix, and the prefix is found in ks and k. So this is a prefix, oops, and s which is pretty common, and then still there. I froze. Okay. So the k means it's the irrealis, and the irrealis means something that you have not experienced yet. So when you say don't run, you are talking about something that is like in the future. So everything that's in the future is something that has not yet been experienced. Also, things that are not known are also something that's not experienced. It's outside of your sphere of experience, basically. The future is outside of it, and the unknown is also outside of it. So when you say kes, combining that irrealis with s. So s mentui it is running. So you're saying you don't be running, basically. This is referencing the future or outside of the experienced. Does that make sense?
So if you take the Q out, you're just saying don't run. But if you add the Q, then you're saying like what?
Don't be running, like in something out that's not happening right now. Yeah. You're talking about an inexperienced thing. The experience of running, even if you're running currently, you're talking about like the future. In this sense, you're talking about the future. Don't run.
Right. So if you take the Q out, wouldn't you just say you're not running?
You're not running, yeah. You take that out, you're just saying you're not running.
Yep.
You put it in there, don't be running. Basically.
So kes isn't a separate word. It's a two prefixes.
It's a prefix, yeah. Yeah, they're all prefixes. I still write them separate though.
Taco kes, Wichtimensen.
Yeah, don't see me.
Yeah, because it's in a lot of saying. You hear like ta kes, and schleptumstum.
Oh yeah, Kaya is like that. We've been writing it like that, but it's a pharyngeal. Da kes. What was it? Chumshkanami?
Oi and sutumstum.
And schleptumstum.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like we're not to forget, huh?
Mm-hmm. We must not forget.
Yeah.
We must not forget it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Sophie had she would always have a tough time spelling ke, and because she spelled it different ways. She spelled it like a long time ago she used to spell it like this, and then
Did I remember the glottal stop E?
sometimes she'd spell it like that and like that. But I remember asking her, I said, "How come you spell it different all over the place?" And she would say, "It's because it doesn't sound right. There's something there. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out." It's because we didn't have the pharyngeal. Yeah, so there's a way. So just about any word can be made into a prefix simply by taking an L and adding a barred L, and it's now a prefix. And the prefix, so the word was in chad, it's clear inside. So the prefix becomes the kind that's clear inside, and whatever you attach it to.
We need like a couple semesters worth of teaching here, Tachini, because it's just pretty interesting. There's a lot of context here, and there's so many rabbit holes with any one subject that we could do, you know. And I mean, just push aside because like change is hard, right? Change is really difficult for anybody. Change should be a little bit easier for us as new learners here, I think, to grab the concept and not really to hang on to something as you know, as much. I think it's up to everybody to like dissect that and absorb as they wish, right? But the teaching coming behind it is what I'm looking at. Even if I'm like having a hard time, like why this glottal and not this glottal? There's differences. I know you're showing us, and I have to come a long ways through that to really figure that out. But I think that the context is there's so much there in each. There's a rabbit hole in this, like the six suffixes that you want to show us in there. And within each suffix, there's so much there, right? I mean, there's like, because we know the transitives and everything, like, there's just so much teaching in there. And it would be really interesting to like separate if you could like just, I mean, I just like, I implore that you do this. You take everything and like you said, I don't want to go too deeply with it. Go so deep with every little thing. And up to the rest of us to try to figure out some funding into, you know, being teaching to this. Because there's so much there, dude. You're like, this is phenomenal. There's so much context in there. Even if people don't agree, there's just so much stuff in there. Then we can all just like juggle all that up. And I'm not sure there's people who don't agree. I'm just saying, change is hard, right? Change is really hard to go through, and then we could really absorb a lot of this stuff in the length of teaching of just some simple things, you know, like each you know, unit plan, break them down in unit plans, like, and then we get to each lesson, how many are in that unit plan, you know, and we come through and a lot of teaching. I just see so much there that I would love to learn and grab, you know, find handles for, because I'm struggling finding handles for so many different things. But you're giving me a little bit of clarity on some of your explanation tonight. I'm just a little bit more. And like I struggle with the spelling. Like you're using pharyngeals. I like the pharyngeal with the raised W, because I remember one time Chauncey was still alive and our students were out there and we're saying, oh, lean, and he's out there with his coffee cup. He's shaking his head and he'd make everybody say it again. Oh, lean, oh, lean. And, oh, yeah, oh, lean. And he would shake his head. Oh, lean, you know, listen, oh, lean. I'm not saying, oh, lean, right? And I'm like, oh, you know, I couldn't even grasp that. That was like going over my head, you know, and now I understand it. And I think like you're saying, as a teaching the language, and if you're teaching it and teaching a sound, instead of saying O or even a glottal O, because basically that's what that pharyngeal raised W is, the glottal O. You could debate that, right? That there, then I know if I see that symbol, I'm saying lean, right? In that context, and I'm like, oh, okay. So then the rest of this stuff is kind of like fill in. That's why I'm thinking if you did some really heavy teaching, like I'm pretty excited actually of seeing what you're doing here, and I want to see more of it and kind of really dive in and try to get something um, more understanding of what I'm looking at. Yeah, Lemlmts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the one of the biggest challenges for us as learners is that we already have internalized a language, English, and that really influences how we conceptualize things. And Salish has such a different conceptualization of things. Things are categorized differently, and that place where you can see those broad categories of what a word refers to um, can really begin to open up your perception of the worldview that Salish portrays, because you can translate it, which is what we're doing for the most part, and we're trying to work ourselves so that we can see it actually through the lens of the language and how those categories are presented and how the world is organized according to our ancestors, how they viewed it. And so that's kind of where we're trying to go to, is to stop translating worldview and actually acquire that worldview so that we can, see it through that lens instead of translating it. It's a difficult to and in my learning, when I think I know something, I know I'm so sure of something that I put it down in stone, and I'm like, this is it. This is what it means. And then I come to something else that puts a chip in that rock, and I'm like, ah, oh, darn it, that's not what it meant. There was a little bit more to it. And then as I keep going down that rabbit hole, like you're saying, whoa, there's a whole world down there of knowledge and information that if I had to stop myself at that one point where I said, oh, I know this definitively, I would stop looking around for something else. But leave your mind open to the possibilities of something there, and just be receptive and take things in. It takes time. It takes a lot of practice, and lots of examples to really set things into your mind and into your heart.
Well, Lemlmts Pesyaʔ, I think we call it a night, and hopefully
That's your bedtime, huh?
I know. See, hopefully everybody can come back next Wednesday. So, Lemlmts Pesyaʔ.
Lemlmts.
Lemlmts.